All right, everybody, I am going to do a video on how to clean your airbrush, at least the way that I clean my airbrush. Hopefully you'll find it informative and will help y'all kind of level up your hobby game a little bit, especially if you're new to airbrushing. Again, as my previous video stated, spending a lot of time cleaning your airbrush is very frustrating. So let's jump right into it. I have got some red paint left over inside of my airbrush, and I'm just going to walk through all the steps that I do to ensure that the airbrush, the cup is clean, the needle, as well as the nozzle. Those are the three main pieces that I am going to be cleaning. Sometimes the end of the cap will also get paint stuck on it as well, and I'll show you what I use for that. All right, so the first things first, the excess paint in here, I'm just going to dump it out on a paper towel. I'm going to take some water from my water cup, and I'm just going to kind of fill the cup up and then dump that out. The reason why I do it this way is that if any of the paint started to dry in the cup and becomes like chunky, I don't want those big pieces ending up in the nozzle, because that just makes it harder to clean, because the nozzles, even though the Patriot nozzle is pretty big, it's still a small piece, if you will. So I do this a couple times just to kind of get that out, spray out any excess. Then I have my airbrush cleaner here. I'm going to dump some of that in there, just a little bit. Use my paintbrush again, clean the inside of the cup. Okay, then I'm going to spray that out. Then I will take the needle out. So I unscrew the needle nut here, pull the needle out, and I'm going to run it through this paper towel. And you can see here, I had some paint that was stuck to the needle, so that is now clean. All right, and then I'm gonna loosen the cap here to get the nozzle out. All right, there's the nozzle seated in there, and I can even see, I don't know if y'all can see it, but there's a little bit of red paint around the edge of the nozzle in there. So I'm gonna take this out, use my needle end, the rounded tip, to get the nozzle head out of there. All right, set the cap aside. Now what I do here is I'll take the nozzle, and I do the same thing regardless if I'm working with my Patriot or with my Sotar. I'm going to take my airbrush cleaner, and I'm just going to fill the nozzle with a little bit of cleaner. Then I take my needle, I'm going to run it through so that it's poking out of the nozzle head, and then I'm going to gently place it against the paper towel. I'm going to roll the nozzle head back and forth. I'm going to insert the needle all the way through the nozzle, and then I'm going to retract it as well while I am gently rolling the nozzle head back and forth across the paper towel. If I pick up the paper towel, you can see a little bit of red paint has come out onto it. So I'm going to rinse and repeat this process until I don't see any colors coming out and everything is clear, just clear liquids. So I dump a little bit more thinner in there, take my needle, and oh, see, I got even more that just came out this time. Now I'm not using a lot of force because I'm not trying to bend the needle at all. I want to make sure that I am protecting both the needle tip as well as the needle itself from bending. So I'm just being very gentle, and the reason why I do this is that sometimes that dried paint gets stuck on the inside of the nozzle, and I want to scrape it off and push it out of the front. This will help prevent clogs, because nothing is more frustrating than getting going on painting only to find out that the nozzle is completely caked with paint, and then you have to basically disassemble, clean forever, or however long it takes you, then to reassemble. So not only have you wasted time, you've also wasted paint as well. All right, so once I have done that, I might do this a couple times depending on the color. So red is a great example because it's very easy to see if it's coming out of the end of the nozzle. So like as I push the needle out the front and continue to roll this back and forth, as long as it is clear, so all the liquid came out, it's clear, that means there is any paint remaining. You can see the needle is retracting and extending out of the front of the nozzle. And I'm not seeing anything else, so it looks clean to me. So then I'm going to blow it out. I'll look down the barrel. All right, so you can see through, all the way through the nozzle. You can see the paper towel on the other side. Looks like it's clean. Looks good to go. All right, so that's pretty clean. Looks good to me. The cap, as you continue to paint for extended periods of time, paint will start to build up on the outside there. What I usually have is an old toothbrush that I will just put a little bit of thinner down on top of it. I'll scrub it with the toothbrush real quick, clean it up, and it's good to go. All right, so now I seated the nozzle back into the cap. If I can get my airbrush, screw the cap back on, finger tight, take the needle, test the trigger, make sure it's seated properly. Place the needle back in, tighten it down, and then I'm just going to put a couple more drops of thinner in. All right, so then I push the thinner through. Now that that's done, the last thing that I'm going to do, if I'm done with my airbrush for whatever my painting session is, then the last thing I do before I put it away, once I've cleaned it, is I make sure that I'm going to protect the needle. So normally when you're ready to paint, the needle will be poking out of the tip of the airbrush. You can see the needle there. And what I do when I'm done is I loosen the nut on the needle, and then I'm going to pull the needle back into the body. So if you look real closely at the tip of the airbrush, you can see the needle poking out. I'm going to pull it back to retract it into the body where it's completely gone. I can't feel it. And then I'm going to tighten the nut down, and that's going to hold the needle in that place. This way, it protects your needle from getting banged up if you accidentally were to fall or something like that. And that's it. That's how I clean my airbrush. That's how I move between colors. Also, just be very careful. Again, a lot of people will cringe with the method in which I use the needle to help clean the nozzle. Completely understandable. That is at your own risk. It's just the method that I use. So I've been airbrushing now for probably six or 7 years now. And I have yet, knock on this fake wood back here, to bend a needle at all, needle or needle tip. But that's the barely battle method for cleaning my airbrush. I hope y'all learned something. Much appreciate y'all taking the time out of your day to view the video. There will be links below to the equipment and materials that are used throughout this series of airbrushing videos. And again, if you like the content, please hit that subscribe button. Any support to the channel is greatly appreciated. And thank you all for those who have already supported the channel. Looking forward to improving each and every week. If you have any comments or feedback, please leave them below. Thanks a lot, and you have a good one.